Hey everyone, my name is Nick and welcome back to the channel, and today is Thousand Suns Day. We have the new codex in hand, and on top of that, in the pile, we have the new cards, the new dice, which I want to compare to the old dice that I had, and also Hexfire itself. So I'm splitting that with Matt from Wooden Spoon Wargaming. He's taking the Grey Knights element. I am keeping the Thousand Suns for obvious reasons. And what I'm going to do over the next set of series of videos is just go through in depth the whole codex. I'm not going to try and lump everything into a single video. I'm going to try and keep it short, sweet and to the point, and just go through each of the sections, and then, like I've done with the previous codex, an in-depth section on each of the data slates, and look at which stratagems, maybe which combos are going to work best. Put that into some videos as well, and then finally some sample army lists. So either a bit of fun, a bit of a wacky kind of list that we can come up with, maybe something that might be a bit more competitive as well for those people that are interested in tournament play. But on the whole, the way that I've done army collection videos before is normally how people would go about buying them. So through start collecting, through Hexfire, then what bolt-ons you would kind of add as you went through sort of 500,000, 1,500 and ultimately to 2,000 points. And with and without Magnus, and we'll get into details with Magnus in a later video. But for this video, we're going to go through some of the core elements of the army first. So as I said, try and keep the series nice and short. So let's get straight into that. So, scrying into the Thousand Suns Codex, fellow sorcerers, welcome along. So we're going to look at the detachment abilities first then. So a Thousand Suns detachment is one that includes models with the Thousand Suns keyword. So this is no different to every other faction. However, Thousand Suns detachments gain the mere servants and jealous tyrant abilities. Thousand Suns units within Thousand Suns detachments gain the Brotherhood of Sorcerers ability. And finally, all Rubric Marines, Scarab Occult Terminators and Bray units in a Thousand Suns detachment gain the Objective Secured ability as per the Warhammer 40k core book. So what does mere servants actually mean? Now this is what we saw with the Death Guard Codex, but for those that are unaware, we now have a limitation on the Bray and Cultist ratio compared to our Rubric and Scarab Occult Terminators. So for every single squad of Rubrics or Scarabs, you can take a Bray unit and or a Cultist unit as well. So in this example I've got on here, I've got 2 units of Scarab Occult Terminators, 1 unit of Rubric Marines, which means I can take up to 3 units of Cultists and up to 3 units of Zangor. Just like the previous Codex edition, your Cultists can be taken between 10 and 30, but this time the Bray or the Zangor unit can only go up to 20. We used to be able to take 30 of those, but we can now take a unit of 10 and up to 20 per unit. And just for clarity, Bray is only the Zangor on foot. It doesn't include the Shaman, it doesn't include the Enlightened, which are also Zangor type models, but they don't have the Bray keyword. So this is only a limitation to the troops choice of Zangor itself. Next up, for a Thousand Suns detachment, we have Jealous Tyrant. Now this limits us to 1 Demon Prince of Tzeentch per detachment. We didn't used to have that limitation before, and there were fears with the way that the Death Guard Codex had limited their characters that we were going to have some kind of other limitation with our Exalted Sorcerers and so on. Fortunately, that is not the case. We are just limited with the Demon Prince. A lot of lists typically will have at least 2 detachments, so you can still take 2 Demon Princes if you so desire. They're really good for generating Cabal points, but there are other ways of generating that. Is the Malefic Talon option the way to go? I don't necessarily think so, but we'll get to that when we come to the Demon Prince in-depth videos. But for now, just know that if you have multiple Demon Princes, it is just 1 per detachment. Next up is probably one of the biggest battlefield changes that we've seen across the Thousand Suns Codex, and that is the change to the Brotherhood of Sorcerers rule. So the previous Codex gave us a +6 inch range to all of our psychic powers. Now it does 2 different things. The first one is it adds 1 to all psychic tests. So if you have a warp charge of 7, you will need just 6 to cast it. So your first smite, for example, that normally takes a warp charge of 5, your first smite is now just a 4+. That's to all psychic tests. With the way that battlefields are now that little bit smaller, I don't feel that we're going to miss the plus 6 inches. But I think we are going to be more beneficial now with that extra 1 to the psychic test. The second rule then is Arcana and Astartes Zangor units all have a 5+ in vulnerable save. Now, in comparison to the Bray unit, Bray keyword is only for the Zangor on foot. The Zangor keyword does include the Shaman and does include the Enlightened. So that catches everything. So all Zangor models, all Goatee boys have that 5+ in vulnerable save. But the big one here is just going back to the Arcana Astartes. That includes pretty much every vehicle. Forge World as well. So Arcana Astartes, so our Rhinos, our Predators, our Land Raiders, our Contemptor Dreadnoughts, our Hellbrutes, you name it, all has a 5+ in vulnerable save. That will include things like Fire Raptors and other Glass Hammer kind of units that we've ignored on the whole within Chaos and within the Thousand Suns just because we didn't get that invulnerable save. Now, across the board, Rhinos look good. All of our vehicles now look good. It's now working out which is the most cost-effective type unit to take that 5+ invulnerable save with the weapons that it comes with. So really, really, really powerful change to the rules just in one sweeping statement, because all the vehicles have Arcana Astartes as a keyword. And finally, in this opening video for this series, for the Thousand Suns Codex, is the new change to the OBSEC units that we have. So Rubric Marines, Scarab Occult Terminators and Bray units, i.e. our Zangors, are all now objective secured, which when you look at the main rulebook, that basically means you, instead of contesting an objective based on the model count, if you are OBSEC and they are not, then you automatically claim that objective. Now, Rubrics had that before, I believe Zangor had that before, but Scarab Occult didn't. And that makes them super, super powerful with the extra wounds, the extra abilities that they have. Being able to teleport in and all those kind of cool things onto objectives, and objective holding is so critical in 9th edition. Having our Scarab Occult Terminators be able to do that is a massive, massive win. So, yeah, expect to see quite a few lists with more Terminators in than we've seen previously. But that is the final big change army-wide that I want to talk about in this video. So there we go then, folks. That is the brief overview video complete for the Thousand Suns. So just as a quick recap then, you can only have 1 Demon Prince per detachment. You can't have more Bray or Cultist than you can Rubric or Scarab units, and pretty much everyone has a 5+ invulnerable save, either through Arcana Astartes or through the Demon rules, which we'll get onto for some of our Demon engines. And Scarab Occult Terminators are OBSEC now, in addition to our Rubrics and Bray units. So overall, a fairly positive start to looking into the Codex. Coming up in the next set of videos, we're going to take a look at some of the strats, the cults and the pacts for the Infernal Master. So stay tuned for those. But as usual, I'd like to know in the comment section below what you think of the Codex for those that have picked it up so far, or if you've seen some of the early release bat reps from some of the larger channels that have got the early copies. I know Thousand Suns versus Grey Knights has been seen all week. It's not looked good for the Thousand Suns all week, but that is scissors coming against the proverbial rock. And people are playing with the models that they've got. So don't be disheartened so far. I've had a look at a couple of those bat reps and I've seen a lot of people whinging, saying, rah, 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 we're not very good. I think this Codex, on the whole, from what I've seen so far, is going to fly a little bit under the radar. It's not going to be Admech and Drakari that's going to get a nerf back within a couple of weeks. I think it's a solid Codex. It's a finesse army. This is the key. It's not a point and click. There are so many facets to it within the cults, within all the stratagems, within the pacts and so on. It's a very, very synergy-based army, and you're going to have to think. It's a thinking person's army. That's basically the long and the short of it. But we'll get into some of those cool things as we go through this series of videos. But as usual, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all on the next video.